and welcome to Baltimore Fun Time. I'm John Carrington, and this here is Joe Farina, and we're going to have a real great treat for you today. Joe Farina is going to perform his Magic Castle, California close-up performance that he performed years ago in California at the Magic Castle. Looking forward to it, so stick around.
No chains could hold him. No jail could imprison him.
Houdini created a Superman. There's nothing that can confine Houdini. There's no clever jailer. There is no policeman. There's no clever box builder that can create something that Houdini can't defeat.
Magician, aviator, actor, author, the most famous escape artist who ever lived, star of stage and screen.
I think it's hard to imagine how big a star Houdini was and what he contributed to even the notion of celebrity in America.
Admired by many, despised by some, defender of the lonely and bereaved, he exposed charlatans who claimed to communicate with the dead.
He fought the spiritualists, the fakers out there, because it was disrespectful for them to claim they were speaking with the dead and they were bringing back the spirits of the deceased.
Ironically, after his death, his wife announced that a medium had brought her a message from Houdini, a phrase in an unbreakable code known only to the two of them.
Well, I mean, that was just like a bomb, say. Then she issues her statement of belief in the message on January 9th, 1929. And everybody goes crazy.
Was Houdini really reaching out from beyond the grave? Or was this just one more fraud waiting to be exposed?
Whoa, well, welcome back. Hi, you're going to get to see Joe Farina perform now. Joe, how about that performance? You ready to do it?
Oh yeah, I'm ready, John. I'm always ready.
All right, well, Joe, you're going to perform the act that you actually did years ago at the Magic Castle.
Yes.
Talk about the time and the place and the occasion for that performance.
Well, I started about 1987. The first time I performed down in the museum, and then the next year, I was up in the close-up room. The Magic Castle is an old Victorian house in Hollywood, and it's on Franklin Boulevard. It's just up from, I call it Grauman's Chinese Theater, but it's called Mann's Chinese Theater now, where all the stars put their footprints. It's about 2 blocks north of there. It used to, there was a man by the name of Lane who was a banker that owned the house, and he built it. He never lived there, he entertained there. And when he lost his money in the bank, he lost the house. It changed hands several times. During the Second World War, it was a house of ill repute.
That means you had to pay to go in?
Oh, yes. And the close-up room used to be a bedroom, and that's where I performed, in the close-up room.
Okay. Well, name some names. Who saw you perform there?
Oh, golly. Vernon seen me perform there.
Vernon, the great professor.
Yes, and complimented me on my act. The 4-ace routine that I put together is mine. And I fooled Billy McComb. He came in 3 different times and caught me at the bar and said, McDonald really didn't come up with McDonald's aces. And I said, Billy, I don't use gimmick cards. And he said, well, how do you do it? And I showed him. And a lot of people came in and caught my act. Some guy came in there, you book in a week at a time, and you do 3 shows a night. And some guy came in and caught all 21 shows. Now, I don't know whether he was trying to figure out what I was doing or whether he just enjoyed the entertainment. I don't remember. Oh, but one time this guy came in all the shows. One of the things that I did, I changed characterizations. When I perform, I like the closeness of the audience, and I do a lot of audience participation. One time I did the first part of my act, and when I changed the jacks to aces, I stopped. I said to the audience, are you having fun? They said yes, and I said, we're going to do some real magic. And the next 3 effects were just straight, hard encore magic.
Ah.
I did not like the feeling. I got a standing ovation, but it didn't feel good not having that reaction with the audience, so I never did that again.
So your style is more of a personable, let me do a little comedy,
Yeah,
work with real people
yeah.
approach. All right, Joe, your personalities in your performance. Talk some more about your personality.
Oh goodness, I'm just, I enjoy what I'm doing, and if I enjoy it, the audience enjoys it, and that's the thing that I like to do.
All right. Well,
Most of the time out on the West Coast, they just do 20-minute sequences, and that's about all my act is about 18 minutes. Here on the East Coast, they do 45 minutes. Now, I've done 45 minutes, but I can remember doing a stand-up show for children from 6 and 7 to 18, and I did a 45-minute show, and I went up to the castle afterward to have lunch, and of course I had my tux on, and the guy said, "Oh, you did a show?" And I told him, "Yeah." And he said, "How long did you perform?" I said, 45 minutes. He said, "How'd you do that?" And I said, "Well, you have fun and they have fun." And that's primarily what it is. You have fun with the audience.
that's that chemistry.
Yeah, well, it tries to be. Yeah, I try to be.
Well, folks, we promised you a chance to see Joe Farina's terrific act. Looking forward to it, so stick around. Oh, welcome back, and here we are with the legendary leader of the pack when it comes to magic, Mr. Joe Farina. And as we promised, we're going to show you his performance. Here we go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Farina, and I'm here to magish for you. Let me get my little guy out here. You know what that is? Oh, I'm sorry. And your name, dear?
Sophia.
Sophia. And your name, sir?
Paul.
Paul. You know what that is? Oops.
It's a Smurf.
Smurf. Yeah, it's a magician Smurf.
Okay.
I need all the help I can get. And this is a Smurf. He's red and he's blue, and that's as blue as I get. You understand blue?
Blue.
Yeah, yeah. Will you pat him on the head? Whoop, I had him upside down. You got the wrong end. Go ahead, pat him on the head. See how soft he is. See how soft he is.
Very soft.
The other day somebody called that a nerd ball, and I said, no, it's like a Nerf ball. You know what a Nerf ball is?
Sure.
Yeah. Kids play with them in the house?
Yes.
With this, you just twist this like this, and you get two of these. May I borrow your hand for just a minute? Very good. Watch. One in my hand, one in your hand. Squeeze very tight. Let me get my finger out of there. Turn your hand over. Are you married?
Yes.
Oh, you are. That's why you take instructions so well.
Okay.
I'm going to tap on the back of your hand, and when I do, the ball's going to come from your hand to mine. Watch. It didn't do it, did it? You still have your ball?
I still have
Let me
my
try it again. Mine's gone. Will you open your hand up? Aha. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. For this trick, I need 3 of these. That's what happened to me when I went to Vegas. They took my money, they took the bottom of my purse. It's the only place I know that you can get tanned and faded at the same time. Understand? Tan and faded, tan outside, tan. Okay. Yeah. Watch. 2 of these, squeeze very tight, just like this. All I do is rub. Means nothing. Feels wonderful. Mine is gone. Open your hand slowly, let them grow. Oh, thank you very much. 2 in my hand, 1 in my pocket. How many do I have in my hand?
2.
2? No, you weren't watching it. It's called new math. Watch. 2 in my hand, 1 in my pocket. How many do I have in my hand?
2.
You've seen the trick before.
Yeah.
You're right. But see, once you put them back in the purse, they become invisible.
Oh
again.
my goodness.
Thank you very much. Do you know anything about cards?
Some.
Playing cards? Oh, I hope. Let me put these down here.
You left 1 in there. No, I'm sorry.
If I ask you to think of your favorite 4 of a kind, would you understand what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, like 4 aces, 4 kings,
Okay.
4 queens. I want you to think of your favorite 4 of a kind. There's 1, there's 2. Don't be like one lady, she said a full house. The other one said a straight flush, said she didn't know anything about poker. Let's see, where's the last one? Oh, there it is. Very good. Very good. Whoops, I turned them over to you. What 4 were you thinking of? I'm sorry.
4 5s.
4 5s, one of these days I'm going to hit that. That's going to be a hell of a trick. I would like to introduce you to 4 famous Italian aerialists called the Jacko brothers. There's the Jack of Diamonds, the Jack of Hearts, the Jack of Clubs, and of course the Jack of Spades. Jokes don't get any better, folks. Uno, Dewey, Trey, double Dewey. That's close enough. You know what a teeter board is?
No.
Like a teeter-totter.
Okay.
In the circus, they call it a springboard, where a performer jumps off a pedestal, high pedestal, hits the high end of the board, and propels the other person up in the air, simply by dropping the deck on the first Jacko brother. He comes down to the big top. The second one jumps from the top of the big top down to the ground without a net. The third one jumps, comes back to the top, and might I hear a round of applause for the 4th and final Jacko brother. He turns himself inside out. Thank you very much. Cut the deck a little bit.
Wow, Joe, that was terrific, man! Oh
Thank you,
man!
thank you, John.
I know this little Smurf character. You got to tell me about the Smurf.
I wanted to be able to lead into the SpongeBalls. So Smurf, Snurf.
Okay.
Blue, red. That's as blue as I get. I don't do anything off color. I don't believe in it. I think that magic is an art. It is the oldest art in the world. It goes back 4,000 years, and I won't do anything to hurt that art. So that's just the way I feel.
All right, and I noticed you're using your special magic words, Oochie Goochie, Ichigi,
Woodgy. That you know who used to do that?
No.
Blackstone Jr. When he had the dancing handkerchief, he would flip it and he'd say woodgy. And that's where I got it. Yeah.
Well, that was terrific. See, little touches that make the whole performance personable.
Yeah.
People can relax and laugh with you.
Yeah.
And the trick you did with the $20 bill, that was just absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Is that yours?
No, it's Howie Schwartzman come up with that. He's a good friend of mine. I learned it. I was the very first that I know of on the West Coast to learn that. And I've taught it to several people, but it is called Star Warp, and it's definitely Howie Schwartzman's.
All right. Well, what are you doing now? Where do you perform now?
Well, any place I can. I help Scott at the Fun House, and just do it a lot of times at the shop. I'm always doing something with magic, and I still work at it. Howie and I get together a couple times a week. A bunch of us get together on Thursdays over in Essex and sit around in kibitz. But Howie and I get together about every Tuesday and sit and talk, and I still learn. I don't stop learning.
All right. Well, what's on the horizon? What do you have planned next?
Nothing really. Scott and I are working on a couple of things that we're going to come out with through the shop that nobody else has. And we're working on that, and some ideas I got rolling around in my head, but now I got to keep my fingers in it. If I don't have somebody to talk magic with, I go nuts. I really do. The other thing I do is I teach. I've been teaching for a long time. I've taught in California. I used to teach in North Carolina when we were down in Raleigh, and I teach here. I give them some private lessons, but I teach through the shop. And if anybody wants to learn, and I not only just teach the magic and the sleights, but how to perform, and the science behind magic, the little nuances that a lot of people don't do, and I still teach. And if you want a performance, just give me a call.
All right. Now, is there a telephone number that we?
Well, the best way to do is get a hold of me through the Funhouse.
Funhouse Magic Shop.
Yeah.
Well, that number is going to scroll on the screen here, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
Your style is so unique, and your teaching talent is probably the best in the world. Is there an age limit on who you want to teach as far as the magic goes?
No, not really. Children from probably 12 or 13 on up, and then of course adults. I've taught both. And with children, you just got to get them to practice, but 12 or 13 is a good age. I know some kids started out when they were 5 and 6, but 12 or 13 is a good age.
I know some adults pick up the magic as a way to promote their sales career.
Yeah.
Or public speaking.
Oh yeah, you can do that. You can do that.
Or just as a diversion. I mean, you have time in your hands and do something with that time. Magic can be a great hobby.
Oh yeah, it's a great hobby. I worked out when I was out on the coast for a while. I worked professionally, which meant I made my living doing it.
Oh yeah. And you're good at it.
Oh, thank you very much.
Stick around.
The circumstances surrounding Houdini's death provoked as much speculation then as it does today. His doctor listed the cause of death as diffuse peritonitis. This was precipitated by a ruptured appendix. It was thought at the time the blows to the abdomen caused his appendix to rupture. We now know that's not possible. There has never been a case before or since of an appendix rupturing in this fashion. It's more likely that he was already suffering from his illness prior to his arrival in Montreal.
You have all these witnesses who see him on that last tour up there and during the week before, and they say he doesn't look good. He looks pale, he looks drawn, he looks tired. Now, that may have just been because he was on tour and working very hard. But it does help point to the idea that he was already sick, and by all indications, that's probably the case.
According to some, there is reason to believe his illness may have been the consequence of something far more sinister. It was no secret that Houdini had received death threats as a consequence of his public exposure of fraudulent mediums.
Houdini had been exhibiting very strange, manic behavior in the last few months of his life, which, according to some toxicologists, could be consistent with low dose of heavy metal poisoning.
I think there's a big question mark. I think that there's other evidence that shows that there were other things going on. He had some food poisoning issues before that. His wife came down with some other issues.
Besides allegations of poisoning, the newspapers blamed the doctors. Some thought he was undertreated. Others thought he was overtreated. And then there was the mysterious serum.
Whether it helped him, whether it hurt him, whether it did nothing, there's no record. The hospital records are gone. The doctor's notes are gone. The hospital itself is gone. There was no autopsy done. And there's a lot of questions.
I want to thank Joe Farina for being a part of Baltimore Funtime.
Thank you
And
very
Joe,
much
I
for
mean,
having
you're a
me.
living legend, and I hope more people visit the Funhouse Magic Shop to meet you, take the magic lessons, and learn something about the fine art of being a magician.
Yes.
Well,
Thank
this
you,
is
John.
John Carrington for Baltimore Funtime saying, treat your friends the best, and you have the best of friends.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Hey, Joe, what you doing?
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes.
I'm nuts about downtown Baltimore's West Side. Hello, I'm John Waters, and I'm proud to say that Baltimore has always been my home. It's the inspiration behind all my films, including Hairspray, Crybaby, Serial Mom, and A Dirty Shame. Let me tell you, there are not a more eccentric, monumental, eclectic, intriguing, and character-filled 28 blocks anywhere in the world, and I'm here to prove it to you. This is where Babe Ruth was born. They tell me he's the best baseball player ever. Not that I'd know. I'm more into theater. Like nearby Arena Players, the nation's longest continuously running African-American community theater. I'm also a big fan of Century-Old Antique Row, where New York dealers come to buy and later mark up their purchases sky high for their Manhattan buyers. On that same block sits the U.B. Blake National Jazz Institute, housing memorabilia from Baltimore jazz greats like Billie Holiday and, of course, U.B. himself. The West Side is also where the Maryland Historical Society calls home, with its many Baltimore artifacts, including the original manuscript of the Star-Spangled Banner and Nipper, the RCA dog. Oh, and the National Dentistry Museum, the only one of its kind in the U.S., is where George Washington's dentures live. And no, they were never wooden. And right in the middle of it all, as if just to add mystery and intrigue, sits the gravesite of Edgar Allan Poe, my kind of guy. Sometimes I go there to meditate. Now, the thing that defines Baltimore for many people around the world is right here also, our sports franchises, the Orioles and the Ravens, two birds that nest in the West. The Walters Art Museum is also known internationally, featuring an interactive experience exploring 55 centuries of art. The largest revitalization plan of its kind in the country, and it's all happening in this one neighborhood called downtown Baltimore's West. Infectious, fashionable, full of vim and Baltimore vigor, I walk the West Side streets these days in amazement at what it's become. I'm nuts about downtown Baltimore's West Side. You will be, too.
Thank you.